Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the lost round nose fish in Firewire Timbertek construction. Looking at this board, the very first thing you see is the Double X, 20 years old. This board, 2015, Lost is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the round nose fish. I don't know about you guys out there, but it's blowing my mind that this board was 20 years ahead of its time. If you beam yourself back to 1995, all the boards back then were 18 inches wide, 2 inches thick, super narrow, super foiled out, super rockered out. If you were in the top 1% of the world, you could surf them, and surfing in the top 1% of the world's waves. But in everyday America or everyday Europe or everyday anywhere else, it was just a frustrating scenario unless you were either posing with your board or if you were at the top of the world tour. Lost again ahead of its time, coming out with the round nose fish, riding them a foot shorter than everything else, blowing out outside of the tabooed 19 inches wide. Like, whoa, like what's going to happen? Are we all going to die? And basically creating a whole new category. When I took this board down to Puerto Rico on a recent trip, and I'm paddling it out through the lineup, and I get my first few waves on the board, and what blew my mind was, here I am surfing a board, a design that's 20 years old, and I'm under my arm. It felt the same as any new hybrid. Paddling, I'm looking at the same nose as any hybrid, and surfing, I'm getting that same surfing performance as a lot of the new hybrids as well. And it's not that you're surfing a classic design, it's that you're surfing a board that inspired everything that's going on right now. So to know that Matt and Lost was that far ahead of the curve, and then actually experiencing that in a wide range of waves was definitely an eye-opener. Talking a little bit about the performance of the round nose fish, what people like about the round nose fish is that it has a huge range of use. You can use it for small waves. You can use it as your daily driver, and it actually even works better in bigger surf as well. It's a good board, like if the surf gets good. There's two different round nose fish designs. There's a round nose fish classic, and then there's also what they call a round nose fish 5 or a round nose fish quint, and those typically have a wider winged swallowtail. This board is actually a blend between the two on those, so you've got a standard swallowtail, no wing, but the swallow's a little bit wider than what would be on the original round nose fish classic that had like a little bit narrower pulled in swallow. So what that does is it gives you the benefits of both the designs, and all of these boards in the Firewire Timbertek construction come with a 5-fin setup. Riding this board down in PR, rode it on open water reef breaks, like both frontside and backside surfing. Also rode it on some beach breaks closer to the beach, and then also on some kind of more reef points as well. And really rides well in a variety of surf. Anything down to the gravel level, and then also rode it in good overhead lined up surf. And it just surfed the whole gamut of waves that we had during the course of a week. During that time, got to try out a bunch of different fin setups. If you remember your classic 5.5 by 19 and a quarter, like all those boards were twin fins with a small trailer, and you could do that on this board. Futures makes a set of fins like that that has a basically what they call a high performance twin fin. So it's not a keel fin, but it's a more up and down twin fin, and then with a small finger trailer. Those are called the Future T1s. Also, if you're getting it in FCS2, FCS makes a fin called the MRTFX, and that's the same style of fin. You've got the bigger twin fin in the front, again, like a higher aspect, more vertical twin fin with a finger trailer in the back. If you're using those MRTFXs in the FCS2 box, you're going to need to get that FCS infill kit to fill the spaces and then put the screws in, and then that'll work really well on that setup. The twin fin with the trailer, it ends up being like a combo of the thruster feel and the quad feel. Because what we found with the thruster was really pivotal off the top, and it really allowed you to get off the top and off the bottom, drive harder off the bottom. And when you got going really fast, allowed you to still snap off the top of the wave. The quad, everything was more geared towards down the line speed, and it would work well for doing longer drawn out fast turns, but not as much pivoting off the top of the wave, where the thruster is better for that type of surfing. If you want the quad speed, but you want to retain some of that pivotal feel, that's where the twin plus a trailer works really well, because it gives you that quad projection down the line, but you can still pivot off the top of the wave, similar to like you would on a thruster. Actually pivot even a little bit harder, just because you don't have that big thruster fin hanging off the back of the board. As far as talked a little bit about the performance of this board. Great single board quiver, great mid-range board, great if you live in a better place, great bottom end board for your quiver. In specifically as a travel board, this board works great, especially if you just really don't know what you're showing up to, because you can literally surf like absolute junk up to good overhead surf on one board. And so if you're going into a scenario blind, it's a great board to go with. Or if you just have a board like, hey, that's my go-to board, I'm only going to ride that board, or you're leaving in your car, you're surfing every day, this is a board that's going to cover a wide range of conditions. The construction of the board, the Timbertek, what this allows you to have is a good performance, wide-ranged hybrid in a construction that's going to hold up. So Puerto Rico is an absolutely gnarly place for boards to survive a long time. There's a lot of exposed reef. There's a lot of shallow reef that you hit when you're paddling. There's a lot of exposed reef along the edges of the shoreline. There's more than a lot of concrete everywhere. It seems like anywhere where you're putting your board down to talk to somebody, you're putting it down on concrete, or laying it down on concrete, or concrete with rusty rebar sticking out of it, or chain link. Or it is the world's most abusive place. It's one of the world's prettiest and most beautiful places and awesome waves, but there just seems to be a lot of hard structures to really ding up a board really quickly. The Timbertek for that type of environment is really good, and then also for a travel environment, if you're on and off of a boat a lot, or if you're driving around a lot and you specifically aren't handling your own board with cotton gloves, like if you're handing it off to a boatman, or if you're handing it off to a taxi driver, or if your friend's stacking the boards, that's the scenario where like your board will get dinged more often than if you're handling it yourself. And the Timbertek does a nice job of still feeling good in the water as far as the performance, but having a lot more durability as far as the dinging, not on the bottom, on the rails, and on the deck. The deck of the board compared to a standard PU poly board will also hold up better as well. So if your boards if you're just abusive on the deck of your board, like your decks are caving in and failing over the course of time, the Timbertek is a lot sturdier underneath your feet as well. It doesn't feel too stiff or too chippy in the water, but it does give you that added durability compared to a standard PU poly board. So it's the Round Nose Fish 20th anniversary edition in Firewire Timbertek. Great all-around hybrid, super accessible board, really wide range of use, not only for the range of waves, but also for the ability of surfers. Obviously the people in the more advanced expert range are going to downsize this thing, get them super, super short. But if you're looking to use this board as an entry-level short board, it's easy enough to do that and have a really good time on it. So check it out. It's the Lost Round Nose Fish from Firewire in the Timbertek construction. If you have any other questions or need more information about this board, you can check out the written review, which is posted right below this video at realwatersports.com/surfing, or you can give us a call at the shop. Thanks for tuning in.